Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round number 13 of the Season 7 season in Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Commenters, and I'll be taking you through proceedings in Division 3 as per usual. And once again, joining me back in the commentary box this week is, of course, Jess. Jess, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, thank you. China's not really a track that is liked by the drivers, but we are racing in here anyway. A track which costed about $400 million to make, and it's also a track where we saw Nico Rosberg take his first win for Mercedes back in 2012, where we saw a very close season there as well. And I'm expecting for the drivers, in particular near the top, to be on their A game tonight, because some of the drivers have been doing well, like the likes of Ricciardo, who currently stands on top of the championship by 10 points over Luke. But there's some drivers like Dari, for example, that needs to step up his game because we don't have long left before the end of the season, so...
Yeah, not long left to go, like you say, in this season, and I fully agree. This track is pretty much a Marmite track, isn't it? We use that term a lot, but it's a track that drivers either love or they hate. It's good for racing in real life, although we haven't raced there since 2019, which is a little bit of a shame due to the pandemic, so hopefully that is back on the calendar fairly soon. We'll run you quickly through the rest of the standings. Of course, as Jess mentioned, Ricciardo leads the way on 149 points, 10 points clear of Luke, who now moves into second after his first victory of the season last time out at the Sir Ibo race, we will call. Taupe was in third, finished second last time out. He's now up to third in the championship. He's on 135 points, only 4 points behind Luke, and only a further 2 points behind Taupe is RJ. So the top four in the championship separated by 16 points at the moment. It's very, very close. The only other driver above the 100-point mark is Brent. He is fifth on 108 points. He is 41 points off the championship lead, so he needs a really strong result tonight to throw himself back into the hunt and hope that some of the other drivers in the championship hunt have rough races tonight. The rest of the championship then, Dari is currently in P6 ahead of Old School in 7th, Cam K 8th. He's back in the points after his one and only DNF of the season back in, I believe that was the Dutch round of the championship. Rex is in 9th, and rounding off the top 10 is TRT Bunty. And looking through the standings so far, like we mentioned, the top four very, very close. The championship is still completely wide open. Do you see Brent jumping into that with a good result tonight, or do you think Brent's already kind of slipping out of the title fight?
Well, he has to have a good result tonight, no question about it, because he got that win in Zandvoort, and we thought he would really be back in form back then, but he didn't even get on the podium a few weeks ago when we were in Setibo Autodrome. I think he only managed 5th place in the end, and I think the people that are in the top three have been getting podiums pretty much mostly towards the second half of the season, almost all the time, apart from obviously Ricciardo did not start at Zandvoort and Luke did not start in Belgium. So if Brent does not get a podium tonight, then I would see him having to take a win or a P2 in order to stay in this fight, which will be tough, but we'll see. He's had a win at Zandvoort, and he's also had a few podiums along the way, but he can't just get some podiums here and there and get a good result. He's got to be consistently up there, because consistency is key, of course.
Yeah, because it's key, like you say, and the top five in the championship all finished in the top 5 positions last time out, just proving who the top 5 are in Division 3 at the moment. They, of course, didn't all finish in the right order championship-wise, but they were all up there at the end of the race, even if they did have very truncated qualifying sessions. And I think Brent will definitely be ruining a lot of mistakes. Remember, at the start of the season, of course, was running at the front in a lot of races. He was running in second place the majority of the French round before pitting for a second set of intermediates right before the race, and pretty much ruining his chance of a podium and not scoring any points. Portugal, he was right up there before a spin. Of course, he had a poor strategy call in Imola as well that cost him a top 5 finish, so I'm sure Brent will be definitely ruining a lot of those early season mistakes right now. But looking throughout the rest of the championship, just as we get into qualifying tonight, is there anyone to you that stands out as out of position at the moment?
Well, I have to say, obviously Chill, but he joined midway through the season and he didn't score any points, but I have to say Bunty, I think, should have been up there higher up in the championship, because he's had the qualifying pace all the time. He's been in the top, obviously apart from Imola due to that disconnect, but he just can't seem to get it together in the race. And to Ibo Autodrome, he scored 0 points. Same with Rex in the Alpine. So I think if these two get their acts together in the race, because that's when the points are scored, then they're going to potentially be up there for the midfield position, because they're out of the championship no matter what. It's impossible to score like 150 points in the next 3 or 4 rounds. So I think their main goal now is to try and see if they can close up to the likes of Darry, Old School, Cam and Rex himself as well. And we also got J-Luke as well, who's had the very poor luck this season. I think he should be up there in terms of his pace as well. And obviously Noah J, who's pretty much the only time he scored points is in the first round in Imola. All the other races this season, he scored no point in France, and he's DNF'd in the rest of them. So yeah, those two I would say are out of position, but there are certain drivers that I'm expected to climb up a lot in these final few rounds of the season, because like I said, it is crucial. But luckily for the drivers at the moment, it's nice and sunny in qualifying. Don't know what it is for the race, but for now, it's a dry session.
Yeah, like you say, for now it's a dry session, so the drivers will be pretty happy about that, and we'll be talking a lot tonight about strategy around this circuit and tyre temperatures. That is kind of a mainstay, really, of this track. It's really, really hard on tyres, this track, and the strategy is not clear-cut by any stretch of the way. The soft-hard could work, the soft-medium can work if you're kind on your tyres, but then the medium-hard and the hard-medium is just as fast on the alternate strategy. So it's kind of really a case of what you prefer around this track, and it does make this race around China often very, very interesting. And of course, compromise of setup. There is a lot of long, fast corners in the middle part of the lap, but there's a lot of slow speed at the very start, and then incredibly long 1.1 kilometre straight on the back. Of course, for the longest time, this was the longest straight on any Formula 1 track until we've had the recent fad of over 2 kilometres long straights on pretty much every new track that joins the calendar. But for a long time, China had the longest straight in Formula 1. It's still a very long straight that you can get a lot of great overtaking done. Chill will be the first person to set a time. He is in the Alfa Romeo. We'll see what he can do tonight. But like you said, Chill has had great pace all season, just not finished where he would have wanted. Bunty and Rex, like you say, not had the finishes they would have wanted. Of course, both Bunty and Rex, only 9th and 10th in the standings. They've both won a race this season, so they have proven that they've got the pace to do it. Whether they can do it on a consistent basis is another measure. But let's ride on board with Chill. He'll take us through at the first lap of the Shanghai International Circuit then as he heads through the final corner and down the pit straight. A little bit of a dip down to the start-finish line. And it's a relatively short pit straight here as he heads up towards turn number 1 and 2. Really, really long right-handed corner here. It tightens up through turn number 2 and then it drops downhill on the exit of the corner. Understeer, really the key of the first part of this lap. You don't want to kill your tyres in the early part as he comes through turn 3 and then the kink of turn number 4, which is more of a traction zone than anything else. Heads up towards the kink of 5 in the end of the first sector, and it's a 24.2 for the first sector for Chill. Look for people possibly to be dipping into the 24 flats, I would say, in the first part of the lap. He's head through the 6 hairpin and then into the fast sweeping corners of 7 and 8. Very similar to a track that was brought out at kind of a similar time in Formula 1, the Sepang circuit, of course, that had turns 5 and 6 that were very, very long sweeping corners. This is very, very similar as he heads through turns 9 and 10. We are looking at track limits tonight as well. Turn 10 is one of the corners you can run wide and avoid a warning, so we'll be looking out for that this evening. Into the second sector then, and now this is pretty much all about straight line speed. Through 11 and 12, exit of 13 is another corner we'll be looking at track limits tonight, but Chill keeps it well within the bounds, and down this really, really long straight, a bit of a slingshot onto the straight. You've got the banked corner and then dips off at the end, so you can carry a lot of speed down this back straight, and it's about 100 metres. You'll see these drivers braking for the hairpin, then the slowest corner on the track, the heaviest braking zone on the track and the best overtaking opportunity, heads through the hairpin of turn number 14, through the kink of 15, that's not really a corner, and the final corner of 16, the other corner. We'll be looking at track limits tonight. Chill keeps it on the track. It's a nice and neat first lap in the session, and it's a 31.7 from Chill the first time in the session. We'll see what other drivers can do, but you would probably say Pole tonight would be dipping into the 1 minute 30s as Bunty, already in the other Alfa Romeo, goes half a second faster.
Yes, as well. I think the few teething points, I think, for the drivers tonight on their lap and during the race as well, has got to be turn 13 as well, where the curb can just bite. It was a problem at the beginning of the game, but they have fixed those curbs ever so slightly, which makes it a lot easier for people during practice. Luckily, China wasn't a massive factor, I think, last season. I think it wasn't the evaluation races last season, which people find a bit challenging, but this is LOE and everyone should be challenged to their full potential at the moment. More lap times being set by the drivers. We've got Tope that's up there in the P1. We've got Matt who's up to the line, who definitely is a bit out of position 2. He comes across the line in P5, and not too shabby lap for him. He's on the soft compounded tyres. I'm surprised quite a few people on the softs already. I thought more people go on the medium due to the fact that the softs can only last about 7 laps around this track. YHYY comes across the line a 1:32.9. Maybe a good banker lap, but he definitely needs to improve if he wants to get into the top 10 respectively. We've got Rom's teammate, J-Luke, who's just crossed the line, but it wasn't a representative lap, so he gets to go again on the mediums. And what about Marty then as he heads towards the final corner? No, he's not going through the final corner, he's backed off of his lap, so he's coming in to the pits. So I think that just leaves, a few other people just diving into the pits now to get their laps in. Recurric's on the lap though. He's down in 14, but he hasn't set a lap time, but we'll keep an eye on his sector times to see if he matches the likes of Tote, Bunty and Chill.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what these drivers can do, but I think we're already seeing a lot of drivers backing off on their laps, maybe because they potentially want to start outside of the top 10. We saw a lot, really, didn't we, in the early 2010s, in the start of the Pirelli era, where drivers were deliberately qualifying outside of the top 10 or not setting a time in Q3 so they could save tyres for the race, and that's kind of the way of the world at the moment for this circuit around China, because it is so hard on the front tyres especially. So I wonder if we're going to see a lot of that. We saw Rikurik, of course, last time out in Russia, not set a time in qualifying, and it ended up paying off beautifully for him. Ended up getting a podium in that race, so I would not be surprised if we see our championship leader doing the same thing again tonight. It just depends, like I said earlier on what strategy you prefer. And if you were in this race, Jess, of course you'll be doing D5 a little bit later on. If you were in this race right now with these full dry conditions, what would you want to do strategy-wise? What would you play? Would you try and start inside the top 10 or the softs, or would you deliberately try and start outside of the top 10 on a different compound?
Well, to be honest, for some people, they want to get the softs out the way with the way D3 is nowadays. I'm thinking about this tier in general more than the other tiers. It's always prone to cause safety cars, so maybe starting inside the top 10 on the soft tyres won't be too bad, but you can't really gamble on a safety car really. But just get those soft tyres out the way, and then if there is a safety car, you could just pit nice and early, go on to a set up the hard tyres until the end. I think most people want to do softer hards. It wasn't a thing on the last game on F1 2020. It was either, I think, mediums to hards, really, and if you started on soft, it would be a 2-stop. But yeah, inside the top 10, yeah, I would definitely try and start on the softs if I can, but outside, I always we got someone in a spin already. As Parrot has almost collided with the Williams there, but luckily Ghosting was on, so he got the car stopped in time there. But I have to say, the two Ferraris not doing too bad last week. It was their first race together in the Ferrari. Obviously, Ferrari doing well in real life as well, so I wonder if they have some Tifosi fans at heart around this track.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like you say, though, it was a good performance last time out from the two of them. I think it was a 6th and a 7th place finish in the end, but not really representative of the pace they had in that race. Charlie, of course, I believe qualified on the front row last time out, but didn't have the best of first laps, which is why he ended up finishing a bit further down the field. Brent is currently on a lap. He's last on the grid. Only 18 drivers tonight. He is last at the moment, but hasn't set a time. None of the bottom 4 have set a time, and Rex and RJ's times and YHY's time is not really representative at all yet. So a lot of drivers still yet to set their best times in this session. Brent is on the medium compound tyres, so already saving a set of softs for the race if he needs them at the very end, but maybe also just wanting to try and get inside the top 10 on that medium compound tyre, trying to find a toe off the back of the Williams of Taupe, I believe that was down the back straight, but Taupe wasn't really going fast enough for him to be able to benefit from that as he heads down towards the hairpin. Then we'll see him through the final couple of corners, but a little bit deep there into the hairpin of turn number 14. Didn't quite get the car stopped in time. That is, of course, really the trepidation of the medium compound tyres in qualifying, at least. The medium compound tyres are not a fast tyre. They are much stronger in the race as Brent goes P11 on a 32.1, and at the moment that is by far the best medium time we've seen in this session, but again, still not enough to put him inside the top 10 as it stands. So we'll wait and see what everybody else can do, but I think with just how slow the mediums are, we're not going to see drivers inside the top 10 on that tyre today, are we?
No, we're not, and I think if you want to gamble on a safety car, then soft may not be the bad option, but you got to figure people outside the top 10 because they're going to be absolutely confused as to what strategy they want to go on, because they got soft to hard, they also got medium to hard, and they've also got hard to medium. But if they go on a hard to medium strategy, they're going to hope that they got no safety car. And if they do have a safety car, period, then they're going to be absolutely screwed. So I would say either starting on the soft or starting on the mediums will be the option. I don't think many people will be starting on the hards here today, unless people expect people to be clean, but you never know, anything can happen in Division 3. Marty, though, another person on those medium tyres, passed into turn 30 now where he's on the grass, and he's not going to be setting a representative lap time at the moment, so he's going to go again. Vukuric's just about to start his lap again, but this time on the medium compound tyres. We've got more people on their second runs at the moment. We've got Vukuric out of the session. He binned it. I think it's after turn 4. Yes, he binned it after turn 4, so not a place I would have liked to bin it, but he's binned it there anyway, as RJ is about to start his lap 2. We've got an Alpine, I believe, or Williams. No, it's a Williams actually up to the line, and he's fastest. 1:31.0, so close to the 1:30s right now. I wonder if Tope could reach that towards the end of the session. We've got Alfa Romeo come across the line. That's Bunty. He's the first person to the 1:30s, 1:30.997. We've got more blue cars up to the line. The next one is Darry, 1:31.2, just 2 tenths shy of his teammate and a few tenths shy of Bunty in first position. Next we've got a Haas, which is not Vukuric because he's retired, but his teammate YHYY slots himself into P13. Not enough to get into the top 10 on the mean tyres, and he invalidates his next run, so he will be going into the pit lane. And we've got the 2 Mercedes on their outlap, so they won't be crossing the line anytime soon. And then just leaves Maverick then to come across the line on his next one. What can he do? Can he get into the top 5? Yes, he can, with a 1:31.7. Very, very close, I would say, from around P5 area to P8. We could see a good midfield battle between Maverick, Finn, Matt and Rom as well. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely have to wait and see. But yeah, like you say, Maverick into the top 5. At the moment, it's a Williams and Alfa Romeo show at the front of the field. They are separated by 4 tenths, and then they are 4 tenths clear of the next car at the moment. So Williams and Alfa Romeo are really dominating proceedings at the moment, and RJ's just gone into that 5th spot in the McLaren, but still 4 tenths of a second off. And for Vukuric, maybe he wanted to start outside of the top 10, but starting 17th on the grid is not where he would have wanted to be, and a very uncharacteristic mistake from Vukuric to see him crash out of the session. So again, another comeback drive from the house, but he's already done it once this season. He can definitely do it again. We'll wait and see what he can do in the race, but again, championship leader on the back foot as it stands. Of course, we've got no Luke tonight, remember, so that is one thing for the championship. Second place man in the standings, who probably would have been one of the favourites tonight, is not here, so that's some sort of saving grace for Vukuric. The only problem right now is his other 2 championship rivals are 2nd and 5th on the grid, and Tope has got more time in that lap. He was 2.5 tenths up by the end of the second sector. He lost time in the final part of the lap, so Tope can definitely get right up there. As the other McLaren of Easy gets up into 5th place, so it's an all McLaren 3rd row of the grid. Of course, Easy is filling in for Old School this evening, but so another reserve in. But again, still no one able to get within 3 tenths of a second of the top 4 at the moment. The Alphas and the Williams are doing really well. Come to really expect it from Williams. They've been strong in qualifying all season long, but for Alfa Romeo, this is a bit of a turn up for the books for them. They've not had the best of seasons. It's nice to see them at the front of the field for once.
Yeah, it is, and I kind of wish they turned up the notch towards the start of the season, to be honest, for them to be in the Constructors' fight, because that would have been so epic to see. But to be honest, it's better for them to do it now, so they get a good feel on what they could do in F1 22, whenever that comes out on July 1st, as Rom goes up to the line in that Mercedes then, at 1:31.948. The 9 was close to the 1, that's why I read it as a different number. But anyway, I think that's it for qualifying for now until people on their final runs, because Marty has run out of fuel, so he's going to be going into the pits. He's just not having luck on the mediums, is he, right now? And he's cut the grass for good measure, doing a vouch for Bottas from Austria there, so that's not good. But yeah, I think that just leaves, I think, Rex to set a representative lap time, and I think everyone else to see if they can match the 2 Williams and the 2 Alfa Romeos as well, because with the Williams doing very well in the Constructors, if Alfa Romeo spoil the party, this could be good news for, like, obviously McLaren, maybe Ferrari and any other teams that are near, obviously, Williams' pace. Maybe Haas as well, with Vukuric as well being up there at the top. They're probably liking the fact that there is a change of order at Bunty in P1. But like we said earlier, it's not about getting points in qualifying. You get no points for that. You get points in the race. I did see someone jump up the field, but I wasn't quite sure who that was. It was J-Luke, who's on his second run on the softs. Not what I want to do right now, because he doesn't have enough time to get into the pit, so he's going to be starting on those tyres. So I'm assuming for him, he's going to pit extremely early for that big undercut.
That seems to be the way, doesn't it? But yeah, like you say, a second lap on the softs is not what you want to be doing around a track like China, where you can probably get good speed out of the softs for 2 laps, and then the mediums are immediately faster. So that is not the strategy J-Luke would want to be on. He'll hopefully improve on the second lap. Same with Easy as well. He also did his best lap on the second lap on that set of tyres. So both of the drivers currently 5th and 6th, really struggling, could be really struggling at the start of the race. We'll wait and see. And yeah, just a lot of people at the moment seemingly out of position. Charlie's not done a run this entire session. He's only just gone out, and he's gone out on the mediums. So I think it's very clear what Charlie's intentions are. He does not want to start on that soft compound tyre. He is starting outside of the top 10. His teammate's currently 12th at the moment. First person in the alternative pole position, we'll call it tonight, is Cam K, and Cam K has been very good all season long in picking up points. Of course, his only non-finish and non-point score was at Zandvoort 2 rounds ago, but every other race he has scored solid points, which is why he is currently 8th in the standings. Parrott, as I was talking about him, has retired in the pit lane, so he will not be improving on 12th on the grid. We've got Darry, who's the first one onto a lap. Bunty has retired in the pit lane. That is quite interesting. Bunty's just decided he's not going to bother with a final run in this session. That's the best he thinks he can do. He's not going out to defend that pole position, which is a bold strategy, definitely, especially if someone takes that pole position off of him. If he drops down to the second, maybe the third row, he could live to regret that decision.
Yeah, he does, and usually you would retire from the session if you had a comfortable gap, but the gap's only less than a tenth between himself and Tope and Darry, and Darry, even though he's not improving, I'm almost certain that Tope's going to improve, and maybe the likes of Chill and J-League will improve as well, so Bunty could just go down and down, but if he does still get pole, it will be a bit too close for comfort for the Alfa Romeo driver. So Chill, I think, has got his work out to make sure that no one else apart from Bunty gets pole position. Maybe Chill could get pole position potentially as well. So the final few runs of qualifying have just begun then, as they try and see who will be getting pole position and who will be outside of the top 10. A few yellow flags at the moment, but I'm seeing Matt's purple in sector 2, but that's usually the game telling porcupines at times. But if he is purple sector 2, fair play. He's going to get a tow from YHYY right now. I don't think YHYY was meant to give the tow right now. J-Luke has retired then. I believe that's in the pits. Yeah, yep. It is in the pit, so he's decided that his lap is good enough, which fair play. You don't think he can improve. If you can't improve, there's no point going out again. Matt, he comes to the final corner then to finish his final run in qualifying. 131.4, which puts him into the top 5 at the moment. We've got J-Luke's teammate, Romy's about to start his final run, along with Bunty's teammate Chill. So Chill's got a lot of work to do. I'm seeing I didn't see what Tope's first sector was, but I'm sure Tope will have a lot of confidence going into the final part of qualifying, know that his main rival has retired from the session.
Yeah, this is perfect really for Tope, isn't it? The doors are kind of opening for the Williams driver. Darry improved as well. He took that second place position away from his teammate briefly, but Tope is up in the first sector. By the end of the second sector, he's a 10th and a half up at the moment is Tope. So this is looking very, very strong. Rex crosses the line, goes P4, as he always does. He sets the time at the very end of the session without really paying attention to him for the most of the session. He just pops up at the front. P4 again for the Alpine driver. But we've got to keep our eye on Darry. He is flying at the moment. Well, Tope, sorry. And Tope's getting a tow from Darry.
So Darry, good.
Yeah, really, really good tow down the back straight then. Heavy on the brakes for the hairpin. Does Tope get the car turned in nicely? Yes, he does. Lovely, lovely turn in for the hairpin there. I think Brent's the next across the line. He stays 14th, so he won't be improving on his position. Here comes Tope, though, to the line, and surely this is pole position for the Williams driver, and it is. 30.7 with a lovely tow from Darry down the back straight. Tope into pole position, but he might not have even needed that tow to get that. Chill's backed off. Chill was a half a tenth up by the end of the second sector, but he's backed off immediately after that because of an invalidation, so no improvement for him. RJ is on a lap currently. We'll see what he can do, but the championship is swinging in the way of Tope here at China at the moment. Luke not here, Rekurik not setting a time. RJ's only 9th as it stands, and that would be a horrible position to start this race considering how poor the soft compound tyres are. What is RJ's lap going to be like across the line? Rom goes, he goes up to P P6 and knocks RJ down to 10th position, but no one behind RJ can improve, so he's got to try and get further up the field if he can. He crosses the line, goes P7, but still not amazing for his qualifying. His teammate behind him on the road hasn't validated, so he won't be improving. Only other driver at the moment on track who hasn't finished the session is Mats, but he's coming into the pit lane. So that is the qualifying session over and done with. And I think for the 4th, maybe 5th time this season, Taupe is on pole position. And what a way to do it, with help from his teammate, with Rekurik, the championship leader, on the back row of the grid.
And I think it shows for Williams that they also care about the Constructors' Championship. I think they have more of a chance in that way as well, getting that wrapped up nice and early, and then they can focus later on the drivers to see if one of those two drivers can get it. So Dari, I think, playing the ringman role at the moment. You can possibly tell that Taupe is the faster driver, but there has been some moments this season where Dari has performed really well, much better than Taupe. So you never know with this two-driver pairing, but you've got to have two strong drivers in order to do well. And obviously with Aston Martin leading at the moment with 237, with Luke not here tonight, obviously that could help them catapult to the top of the constructors' standings as well, because remember, Aston Martin scored 25 points at Setibo Autodrome, William 21, so, and I do believe no Aston Martin's on the grid, so that could be interesting. But I'll let you go through the qualifying results.
Here we go then. It is Taupe on pole position by just over 0.2 of a second. Bunty on the front row. So him not taking that final run didn't really hamper him too much in the end. Dowry makes it a Williams 1-3. And then it's Rex, Chill, Rom, RJ, Matt, J-Luke and Easy. Your top 10. First people outside the top 10 on that auto strategy is the two Red Bulls, Maverick ahead of Cam K. Then it's Parrot, White Hawaii, Brent, Marty, Rekurik and Charlie that rounds off the grid. Probably the most spread out field we've seen probably since Monaco, I would say. That was quite a spread field in the end. 0.8 of a second covering the top 10 on the grid, and we had a lot of drivers nearly 2 seconds off the pace. Of course, the two drivers at the very back or the last row not setting a time at all. So a pretty spread out field. I doubt that's really going to reflect on the race pace, though. We've already said it many times that there are a lot of strategies to choose from here, and because of how heavy the tyre wear is at this track, it's beautifully sunny and dry. Tyre temperatures are going to be horrible. Could be a chance of a safety car. Pretty much anybody could win this race.
Yes, we saw Nico Rosberg going in the unknown and winning the race in 2012 as well. We saw Red Bull have a very good win in this track as well around here. I think Mark Webber, Sebastian Vettel doing quite well here as well. Obviously Lewis Hamilton scoring a few wins as well. Michael Schumacher recorded his last race victory here in 2006, which was quite memorable as well. But speaking of the championship contenders as well, an interesting fact actually. Mark Webber started 18th in 2011 and he managed to get a podium from it. He gained 15 places in the race, so that may be giving a little bit of confidence to people starting near the back of the grid, because Rekurik is not quite 18th, he's 17th, whereas Charlie is 18th, but I know these two can climb their way through the field. But looking at the tyres strategy here today, we've got quite a mixed bag. So we've got most people on the hards, that is Maverick, YHYY, Brent, Marty and Rekurik. We've got Parrot and Charlie on the mediums, so they're opting for the same strategy for the Ferrari team. Not too surprised they're not going for different strategies actually. But Cam is doing the opposite. He thinks there's going to be safety cars, I presume. He's gone on softs. He's on fresh softs though, but if he doesn't make his ground in the opening few laps, then he may have made the wrong decision. But for him, he's going to hope that there's carnage in the opening few laps and he's not involved in it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way he may be looking, but I'm maybe a little bit baffled by that strategy call. We've said it all day, we've said it all stream long, really, haven't we? That the soft compound tyres are just not a strong tyre in the race. They've got good pace for 2, maybe 3 laps, and then they're just really slow and they wear out at a massive rate. Around 8% a lap, the soft tyres wear around here, so they're not good for anything much more than 6 laps, I would say, especially if you've done 2 laps of them in quali like Chill and Easy have done. So yeah, going to be difficult for some of these drivers, and Camke, like you say, is going to have to hope for a bit of carnage early on to try and make up those places and then just gain at the end of the race. He's put himself on the back foot by qualifying a place behind all of the soft queue and then putting himself on the same tyres as them. So yeah, maybe a bit of a strange call from Camke, but what do we know? Camke's finished in the points every race he's finished this season, so maybe he's onto something we don't know. We shall wait and see. And this is probably, you've got to say, the first time this season that we've seen this many people on the hard compound tyres. The way of this game is that the hard compound tyres aren't really touched at all. I think the only track really we've seen them this season would have been Monaco if someone's got early damage, and possibly France, but we didn't really see it that much in France either. This is quite a welcome sight to see the hard compound tyres actually being used.
I've spoken to a few drivers actually, and I think one of the tracks where the hards work extremely well is China, and I have to say, I kind of disagree with that, because when I go on the hards around China, it's absolutely awful, but there are some drivers that are quicker than me, so completely understandable. But yeah, China, I think, is one of those tracks where the hards will be touched more. But apart from obviously Monaco, maybe Singapore, I think the hards will be touched quite a lot. Apart from those tracks, soft and means will probably be the viable strategy. But we are about to get started after a week off. The drivers are raring to go for the final third of the season.
Yeah, final third of the season coming up. We have got 4 drivers within 16 points for this championship fight, and it is the person third in the championship on pole. Tope ahead of Bunty on the front row. Who gets the best start? Lights are out and away they go, and Bunty reacted brilliantly to the lights there. Surely he's got the run on Tope into turn 1, and he has. Brilliant start from Bunty off the line. He had great reactions, and he is straight into the lead ahead of both Williams, who have dropped places on that start. Rex had a good start as well. Chill's trying to get down the inside of Darry as well, so both Williams losing places at the start because of the reaction times. Chill's run a bit wide though through turn number 5, and that's going to allow the Mercedes up the inside, but they were 3 wide, and around goes J-Luke, who was forced onto the curb on the inside. I don't think Chill recognised they were 3 wide there, and he kind of cut across the side of Rom's car there, not realising that J-Luke was also there. Just an unfortunate incident, but yet again J-Luke with rotten luck in the opening lap of the race is now down to the back of the field. Rom does get the move done on Chill and is up into 5th position. Further down the field, we've still got the McLarens in position. Parrott has moved up into 11th place. Brilliant start for him. Kamke, though, brilliant start for Kamke on the fresh set of softs. He's gone from 12th to 8th. He's ahead of both McLarens already. Lovely, lovely start for the Red Bull, doing exactly what he needs to do on his strategy. Further down the field, Rekurik's fallen backwards. He's now down to 17th after the start. Charlie, who started plumb last, is up to 13th already. He's had a brilliant start on the medium tyres, but out in front, Bunty leads from Tope.
Yes, and I have to say, if you are on the soft near the back, you got to make positions early on, and that is what Cam is doing, and he could get past another car potentially soon as well, and he's actually going to get past Matt into turn 14, potentially into the hairpin. He could get past Chill as well, but that would have been a risky move if he'd done that, and Cam is already up into P7. We got Charlie trying to make another position from the other Red Bull driver of Maverick. Maverick stays in P12. Rekurik's trying to make up for lost ground in a 260 position, but let's watch Charlie then into the start finish straight. No DRS enabled, however, until lap 3, but we'll see if Charlie can do the overtake without the need of DRS assistance. Turn 1 to 3 is probably very, very tricky on this game. A lot of drivers hate it, including myself, but Maverick doing very well to defend there as well, trying to leave as much space as they can. Can Charlie get the move done into turn 4? Yes, he can. Charlie in the Ferrari is now going to be chasing down his teammate for 11th position, and I wonder if there's going to be team orders.
No wonder there could potentially be, but they're both now on the same strategy, and they've cleared the hard runners very early on, so that's worked quite nicely for the Ferrari drivers. The hard's not lighting up for those that are on them at the moment. They're struggling for pace. They're going to have to hope they can hold on to this DRS queue in front, otherwise they could just plummet at the back of the field and really become a sitting duck when those drivers pit for the first time. Keeping an eye on Kamke, he is absolutely flying. Kamke put a mention into our stream saying he could have been 4th on the grid if he hadn't spun on his final run. Speaking of spinning, Rom was very close to spinning there through turn number 12. He just about holds the car, but we're already seeing drivers struggling for tyre temperature, and Charlie is already going for the move on Parrott on his teammate down the inside of turn number 13, but can't get the move done. But those team orders, I think, will be coming into play because Charlie looks the faster of the Ferraris at the moment. Already from 18th on the grid, Charlie's up to 11th. Chill's going for the move on Rom at the hairpin. Chill's got the move done very, very easily, and Rom already looks to be struggling on his soft compound tyres. They're overheating quite a lot. Kamke will be the next to have a go, and Kamke is continuing his march forward through the field. Bunty sets another fastest lap, and Bunty, crucially, is nearly out of DRS range.
Exactly, and I have to say, we got a spinner, we got Cam, who made up his positions already at the start, and he just lost it in turn 1 and 2, and oh my goodness, things were going so well for him, and now he's in plumb last pretty much in 17th position. So already we had 2 spinners, and Parrott's out of the race. Oh my god, that is an awful crash, and that's probably going to be a safety car. No, it is a VSC. The people in the back were probably going to hope for a safety car, but no safety car, surprisingly. I'm quite shocked about that right now, but it will keep the drivers to a delta for now, so they have to slow down a little bit. I wonder how the VSC will affect these drivers at the moment. Obviously, it won't stay out that long, so that people won't take advantage of a pit stop. But if it came out a bit later, then probably they would have gone for maybe the hard tyres until the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely could have been an option if the safety car had come out. I think a few of those on the alternate strategy would be quite happy that that's only a virtual, because that would have played beautifully into the hands of the soft runners if that had turned into a full safety car. But that is not the case, and we're down one driver then already with Parrott out of the race, like you say. And what a shame for Kamke. I didn't quite see what happened, didn't see if there was any contact, but I don't think he was really close enough to the back of Rom to be able to make a move, so maybe he just spun on his own, didn't quite see. We are back going once again. DRS is of course re-enabled down this back straight. Is anybody close enough for a move down into the hairpin? Not this time around, no one's really close enough. There is now, because of that little spin for Kamke, well actually not that spin for Kamke, Chill seems to have had a pretty bad virtual safety car restart, and he's now out of DRS range to Rex in front. So the top three just starting to stretch their legs ever so slightly at the front of the field. Kamke starting his march back through the field. He's past Marty into the final corner of all places. That's a pretty unorthodox overtaking opportunity. Is further in front. White is going for the move on Maverick down the inside to become the lead. Hard runner gets the move done, but just understeers wide of the line. Maverick tried to duck underneath and ended up driving on the grass on the inside of turn number 1 and couldn't get the run. So White is now the lead hard runner, but you can see the hard tyres at the start of this race at least not providing a lot of grip. White and none of the hard runners have the pace at the moment to keep up with those on the softs and the mediums.
Yeah, it sounds like it at the moment as well. And don't forget, we are going to be approaching the crossover point very, very soon in terms of tyre temperatures. The softs won't be the optimum tyre to be on, I would say, around about lap 5. So watch out for Charlie, I would say. And if we see it close up to a few temps, then we know that the softs are starting to die a little bit as well. And this could be good news for him. As another Red Bull has spun. This is not good for the Red Bull team back at base, as Maverick's now up to 17th position. And that's not good if you're on a harder tyre, let's just say, because you pretty much have no other option as well. But I don't think he's got damage thus far. Who else is closing up to DRS? Maybe Ron potentially into turn 14 potentially. He's got the pace right now on those soft tyres, even though he was struggling earlier on. But I wonder if Chill's going to cover up that into the hairpin now, side by side. They're trying to leave as much space as they can. We could see Matt be involved in this battle too, but he decides to back out of it right now. We got Darry, who has gained a few places, because we've got a few drivers into the pits. We've got Darry's teammate Tobin, we've got Rex in, and we got Chill and Easy in, so and Cam as well. So I was thinking that probably this lap will be the best time to pit. These guys probably have learnt the lesson now, and they're all going to go on the hard compounded tyres, which does confirm it is a dry race. Cam, though, I think he's going for the 2-stop.
It's either a 2-stop or he thinks he can get those mediums to the end, but that is a bold strategy if you think he can do that. He is out of the pit lane. I think he may have had a front wing change as well, Kamke, so he's going to be even further back. But we're only 5 laps into this race, and we've seen those that are on the hards right now don't have a lot of speed. So I'm wondering if actually switching to the hards this early is the right call, whether they'll actually be fast enough to be able to do anything. Taupe was almost out of DRS range to Bunty. Bunty at the moment, race pace wise, looking very, very strong in that Alfa Romeo. He didn't go out for a final run in qualifying, maybe because he felt he didn't need to. He didn't need to, ended up second and got the lead immediately into turn 1. And at the moment, he's looking pretty untouchable in the race in the early stages. Darry in second, Rom in third, has got Matt and RJ right behind. And on that previous lap, Charlie has got the moved on Easy before Easy pitted, so the medium compound tyres are now coming into play. Charlie is, at the moment at least, the fastest driver on the track. He is working his way forwards through the field. He's caught up to the back of RJ. Matt's looking for a move on Rom into the hairpin, but backs out of it before he gets there. Will stay behind. Will we see any drivers react to the pit stops? Yep, Bunty is into the pit lane. He's reacting to the pit stop of Taupe. Darry's in as well. Rom has spun coming out of the hairpin, so Rom has dropped the car just before we've got to the pit lane, which is such a shame for him, and he'll surely be diving into the pit lane, I would imagine. He's backing out of the racing line, and he is into the pit lane. The only soft runner that stayed out was Matt. He's continuing on, maybe trying something a little bit different, but the problem for him is he's now got Charlie on the mediums right behind him and flying.
I don't know why Matt hasn't come into the pit. I think you can see the way Charlie is catching up potentially, as we've got a Red Bull that's had a bit of a spin. Again. Yeah, that is a bit of a shame now after he just pitted. But yeah, I think Charlie will probably get the overtake done if Matt stayed out one more lap. And pretty much almost a punter territory as well, and he's going to drop way down the field because the undercut, I would say, is OP around this track, and you know it will come to a point where the hards are a bit more viable. I know that he'll do fine towards the end of the race, but you'll probably lose the time anyway, and you'll probably hope for a safety car. We do have another yellow flag for you, someone going out of the pit actually, so that's probably why that yellow flag is there. Gap now to Charlie and Tim Mats, 5/10 of a second, and we're looking where Bunty is compared to his rivals. Tobe actually got ahead in the pit stop phase, ahead of Bunty.
Yeah, got ahead of Bunty. So Bunty now down into a net second position. But crucially for them, they have dropped Rex completely as Charlie getting the moved on to Mats into the hairpin. Mats not fighting that one too hard, as you would expect. We should see Mats probably into the pit lane, I would assume, right now, unless he wants to try and follow Charlie around the track. We'll wait and see. No, he's into the pit lane. Into the pits, and then comes Matt. He'll be the last soft runner into the pit lane, and was so cautious into the pit lane, the car ghosted for him. That's how slow he was taking the corner, as we've got another yellow flag, and that is Maverick that has spun for the third time in this race, and I think it's fair to say that Maverick is probably given up on this race by the looks of things. He's having an absolute nightmare. In fact, both of the Red Bulls are having a nightmare as it stands. Where does Mats then come out? Medium tyres for Mats as we've got more fighting. Bunty down the inside of Topin towards turn number 1 to take the net lead of the race back. Gets the move done nice and cleanly, and Bunty up into 6th on the road. Where does Mats come out of the pit lane? He comes out just behind Chill. So actually, in the end, by staying out a lap longer, Mats hasn't really lost, well, in fact, hasn't lost a single thing. He's come out pretty much exactly where he was, and on the mediums rather than the hards. RJ also went mediums as well. Maverick has spun for the 4th time, and that's 3 times in 1 lap he has spun, so horror show of a race so far for Maverick. But crucially, only 3 drivers in that pit stop phase went from the softs to the mediums. That's RJ, Mats, and Camke. Camke a little bit out of position, having to change his front wing, but RJ, one of our championship protagonists, RJ and Mats, both going for a slightly different strategy here.
Yes, and well, I thought they were going to go for that strategy because it is a one-stop here at LOE, but you've got to take advantage of any people making mistakes, and you just got to realise will there be safety cars and will there not. And the top 12 do score points in LOE, so there may be some hope that people can climb up there as well. And saying that, Maverick has retired in the pits, and I'm not really that surprised, to be honest, that he's done that. He's had 3 or 4 spins already, and that makes it the 2nd retirement so far. One was on track, a nasty crash, and one of them was out of pure frustration into the pit lane. Mats gets past Chill on those fresh mediums up into P11, and he's going to chase down RJ for P10, and the yellow flag is just for a Maverick AI car there, so that would not have helped people that were trying to go for the overtakes that just tote, but they'll get another chance very, very soon.
Yeah, they get a chance very soon, like you say. Just keeping an eye on those on the alternate strategy. Charlie leads the race, of course. 3.7 seconds is the gap, and he's still extending the gap away from the hard runners. The lead hard runner is now Brent in the AlphaTauri, who's got White right behind. And very, very weirdly, this is something I don't think we've seen really at all this season, but we don't have a DRS train anywhere in the field at the moment. We don't have the only train of cars where there are more than 2 cars. Where there are more than 2 cars in a train, where there's 3 cars in a train, is RJ, Mats and Chill. Other than that, we've either got one driver following another, or everybody's just completely spread out, which is something we don't really see at all in this game, at least. Crucially, though, championship leader Rakurik can't keep up with Brent and his teammate at the moment. He was within DRS range, he's dropped out of DRS range, he's got less DRS than the 2 drivers in front, and just continues to fall away. So even if Rakurik had got a qualifying run in, it just doesn't look like Rakurik has all that much pace tonight. He's really struggling for speed. Struggling even more, though, is Marty on the same strategy. Now 3 seconds behind Rakurik, so he's having a pretty horrible race so far. Is Marty. He's just got no pace at all. Bunty still leads. Tope closing in the braking zone for turn 14, but again, not close enough. And these two now 2 seconds clear of Rex, who's 2 seconds clear of Darius. So at the moment, the top 2 are fighting for the lead, and Rex is comfortably on his own in 3rd place.
Yeah, I have to say, Rex doing a stellar job in the Alpine. I did say at the start of the broadcast, Rex will need to have a great performance to go up there in the midfield, and he's definitely showing that at the moment. And with the likes of a few people not here tonight, you can really start to capitalise at the moment and get that podium position that he's been dying for so long. Obviously, he had a really good performance a few races ago, but you can't just rely on that one performance to do well. You've got to be consistent, like you were saying. But we have got Toteners now edging in just ever so slightly more with his warmer tyres. 3 temps separating between the two of them now at the moment. We've got RJ doing exactly the same to Dari, and we got Matt as well in that train. Chill, I think, not in this train anymore at the moment. And only 2 people with penalties, which I'm quite surprised about. I thought there would be more people right now. But yeah, I am a bit gutted about Rekurik's pace right now. I think he just doesn't like this track, and I think it just goes to show it may just be a one-off track for some people. They may be good at pretty much most of the tracks, but when it comes to China, because there's not many opportunities to do China on this game, because pretty much it's not on the real life calendar, they don't practice it as much because they don't like it. So that's probably why they want to get this track out of the way very, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, definitely the case. Just riding a ball with RJ now, who's closed in to the back of Dari for a net 4th on the road, and is dragging Mats with him. They've dropped Chill completely now, so Chill now out of this DRS train. RJ looking down the inside of Dari, but not close enough into the hairpin. A crucial thing, though, that we've got to keep an eye on here for, well, really what the rest of the race is going to look like. We're now on to lap 10. And Brent and YHY are now starting to reclose back in on Charlie. So Charlie only 9 laps really into the stint on those medium tyres, and is now starting to fall back into the clutches of the hard runners. So after 10 laps, the hards seem to be the faster tyres. So if RJ and Mats want to get anything out of this race, you've got to say they've got to start making their way forwards now. They can't get stuck behind Dari. They've got to get past Dari and up towards Rex as quickly as they can, because by the time we get to maybe lap 11 or 12 on that set of medium tyres, the hards could be the faster tyres. So that is one thing to keep an eye on. Now that Rekurik has completely dropped out of DRS Central YHY, Rekurik is actually now slower than Marty. And in fact, Rekurik right now, apart from the 2 Mercedes at the back of the field, is the slowest car on the track, and we've got a spinner, and that is Marty. So Marty has just dropped the car, just as Marty was starting to close back in on the hard runners in front. He's dropped the car coming out of turn 10, but has continued on. He did hit the rear wing, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some rear wing damage on that Alpine, but he continues on. No safety car, but yeah, like you say, a one-off track for Rekurik, but we've seen him perform on so many different types of tracks. We said Russia last time out wouldn't be a track that suited him. He still ended up getting a podium from the back of the field, but today, just not having the pace as it stands. For Charlie here as well, Charlie's actually into the pit lane, so I was expecting Charlie to maybe go a little bit longer. End of lap 10, Charlie's in. Those mediums seem to be already dead 10 laps into the stint. So if you're RJ and Mats, that's got to be a bit worrying, because they've got to do, well, 23 laps at least on their medium tyres.
That will surely suggest that they'll probably go on to another set of mediums then towards the end of the race, and they're going to lose so much time otherwise. And we've got Charlie, he's going for the hard, so he's going for that one-stop strategy until the end, but he's already dropping way down. I think he's lost 1 position from just staying out a little bit longer. He lost position to Mats actually in 11th place, but considering he started near the back anyway, that is not a bad feat as well, and he can concentrate now on closing in. He's even started to close in on people that are on mediums like Matt. So yeah, that's definitely worrying for Matt, who wants to be on a softer tyre, and I think it just goes to show that the hards are a pretty nice race tyre around it, not gonna lie. There are some parts where it can be understeery, but it also does depend on the setup, the ride height as well, and depending on if you get the downforces right in some parts of the track, because it's all about cornering speed in some parts, but there's some parts, like obviously after turn 13, you need the straight line speed. So I think that's what Charlie is getting at the moment, is straight line speed as well, and cornering speed. So he's got the right balance right now to catch up to these guys. But yeah, I'm a bit worried about Matt for how Charlie is closing up in a rate of knots now.
Yeah, only 3 laps on the medium tyres, and already Charlie is closing back in on the back of the AlphaTauri. When is the last time we saw someone genuinely try a medium hard strategy? I honestly can't remember the last time in LOE that we've seen that strategy played. Maybe China in the pre-season race last season, but apart from that, I don't think we've really ever seen that be a genuine strategy from drivers on this game. It's just been the way of this game. The softer compounder tyres just have been the better tyres on this game on the whole. Crucially for Dari here, Dari is out of ERS, so Matt should be able to get the move done if Dari drops out of DRS range to RJ, which at the moment he's clinging on to. So RJ's got the move done on Dari and hasn't been able to pull away or close in on Rex. In fact, there's an Alpine in between, and speaking of that Alpine, Marty's just had a big snap of oversteer midway through turn number 2, and that was a bit of an unsafe rejoin almost into the side of RJ, but they get away with it. That was close for comfort, but Marty's race just gets a bit worse now. He drops further down. That's going to block Dari a little bit here, so this could cost Dari time. And in fact, Dari almost running clean into the back of the Alpine on the run down to turn 6, but gets the move done on the Alpine, who just continues to plummet down the field. Mats gets a much better exit out of the hairpin. He's going to go all the way around the outside. Doesn't have the grip on the outside of the corner. Maybe we'll try the outside of turn number 8 to try and get the move done, but he's just going to understeer wide. Could give Charlie an opportunity, but Charlie's not close enough, and all this is just holding Matt up more and more and costing his strategy more and more time.
Yeah, and that's helping Charlie. You can't really be fighting like this because people like Charlie and Chill and Easy will probably close in at the moment as Marty's trying to fend off Matt, but Matt is having none of that as they head towards turn 12, heading towards turn 13 as well, and you can see Matt's setup is definitely a lot better compared to Marty, but even on Marty's hard tyres, Matt seems to be struggling at the moment. Here comes Charlie's breathing past. Matt's trying to cover off. You don't really want to be weaving like that, my friend. We saw people in real life in the sprint race get in trouble for that. They got black and white flags, and Matt is being a little bit aggressive there, heading towards turn 14 and 15 now. You don't really want to be doing that, but Charlie there almost got 2 overtakes done there. Is he going to do one heading towards turn 1? He's got the ERS deployment to use it, and Matt was trying to make sure he could get the move done, but he couldn't. Charlie got the move done, and that was absolutely beautiful, and I think it just shows that his strategy at the moment is paying off. I have to say, Charlie, I'm just looking at his lap time at the moment. His fastest lap time is a 1:35.2. That is about a few tenths shy of Matt, who set the fastest lap time, but Matt's on the medium, so Charlie, he is the fastest man on those hard tyres right now.
Yeah, Charlie absolutely flying straight onto the back of Dari now, and actually if Charlie gets this move done on Dari, Charlie's in a net P5 in this race, and he started 18th. So at the moment, it seems, he's the only one on this medium-hard strategy. The only other one that would have been on this similar strategy is his teammate, but of course Parrot crashed out 2 laps into the race. Charlie here, I think, proving that the medium-hard strategy seems to be the favourable one at the moment, because whilst he's on the same compound of tyres as the likes of Dari and Rex, they're 5 laps, well, they're nearly 6 laps younger than them, and even though they're the same compound of tyre, just the freshness of 6 or 7 lap younger tyres is proving massive around the track. We've already mentioned the undercut's really powerful.
Comes Charlie.
The fact that you just, down the inside, no contest. Dari has nothing to be able to hold back the Ferrari, and Charlie now up into a net P5 in this race, and just proving that it doesn't matter what compound of tyre it is, you just need fresh tyres around this track. Fresh tyres are just so much more strong around this circuit as Charlie gets a little bit squirrely through 16, but gets away with it. That might allow Dari to come back at him actually down the pit straight, but Dari choosing not to fight that one, stays in 9th for the time being. Charlie's next target is RJ for a net 4th in this race. Could we see Charlie possibly on the podium here?
I'm a bit worried that you said that now because we make commentators curse him, but he does have the pace for it right now, and to be honest, he's got to keep that pace throughout the rest of the race. He can't just have a few laps consistently in the pace he's in now. He's got to be able to push for longer periods of time, and with those hard tyres, they could last a long time, but like we said, that they could drop off pretty quickly with the higher tyre deg around here. So I think Charlie, as soon as he clears Dari, which is going to be easier said than done, and as soon as he gets out of DRS range, all he's got to focus on is to save his tyre life and then close up onto RJ as well. And if RJ's tyres start to die, then Charlie could definitely be in the window. Look at that, he's already in DRS almost, or within 5 tenths. So yes, RJ is in a lot of trouble. Almost certain the medium runners will have to come in. They've got to be on the fresh tyres for the final part of the race. They can't bank on any safety cars, but because I don't think there's any big battles in order to do that. Apart from if you're the likes of RJ, Charlie, Dari, Matt, Marty and Chill, they're all in that big DRS train right now, but I think the only one who's going to probably get the move, maybe it's Matt's on Dari, but Gay just doesn't have the tyre deg in order to do so. But Currit, he's going off of those hard tyres, and I'm guessing he's going on to the medium compounded tyres, and we did see the tyres drop off from Charlie after 10 laps. So McCurrick, he's going to be in a state of bother, but you never know with McCurrick. We'll see if he can recover from his downfall, but he's on the mediums until the end of the race, hopefully.
Hopefully to the end of the race, like you're saying. This will be just a good indication, really, for a lot of other people, especially Brent and White as to what the pace of a fresh set of mediums is compared to those around. Recurrent comes out in a lovely bit of clean air, just ahead of Cam K, about 4 seconds behind Chill, but crucially for Recurrent, he's a long way off a lot of people he needs to overtake. But he at least has a lot of clean, fresh track that he can drive into to use the pace of those fresh tyres. So we'll keep an eye on what the pace of Rekurik is and how quickly he can close in on the drivers in front. And Mats is still stuck behind Dari and can't find a way through on the Williams at the moment, who's had a great qualifying, but in the race so far, Dari has just kind of plummeted through the field. He's not had a lot of race pace. Started third, dropped to fourth at the first corner, and is now in a net sixth, potentially dropping to a net seventh behind Mats here if he's not careful. So yeah, Dari not having the best of races so far as he falls a bit further down the field. The only two drivers at the moment within DRS range of another car are Taupe and Mats. Nobody else has DRS at the moment, which is very bizarre to see. But Mats on the back of the Williams, can he get the move done this time around? He had a much better exit out of turn number 13, got the DRS, got a little bit more ERS, but I don't think he even needs to use it as he heads down towards the hairpin of turn 14. Down the inside goes Mats on Dari, gets the move done into the hairpin. Not really a contest. Mats is up into 8th, but Dari actually trying to switch back on the exit, but just can't get the power down on those hards. Stays in 9th for the time being. Into the pit lane then comes Brent. He was leading on those hard compound tyres. He's in for a fresh set of mediums. We'll see where Brent comes out in this race. We'll see what the undercut from Rekurik was. Rekurik was about 4 seconds behind Brent when they pitted. Out of the pit lane comes Brent, and Brent comes out only 2 seconds ahead of Rekurik. So 2 seconds in a lap, Rekurik gained on Brent. Crucially for Brent though, he's ahead of Chill. So for Brent at least, this strategy looks like it could pay off.
Yeah, it can, and I'm just looking at the delta between the two tyres as well. It is a bit bigger compared to some of the other tracks we see on the calendar. It's around about, I would say, 9/10 difference between the mediums and the hards. So if Brent could close up in a few laps on Dari, then it shouldn't be a problem indeed. But after 6-7 laps, then he'll probably be in a spot of bother, but probably everyone will be in a spot of bother because everyone will be on pretty much worn scrub tyres for most of this race so far, as Rom is the third person to pick a penalty, and he's retired, and I thought it was in the pit lane, but it wasn't. Is it turn 6? Yeah, it looks like he's lost in turn 6, so, well, just before turn 6 actually, but yes, unfortunate day for the Mercedes drivers so far, but no safety car.
Yeah, no safety car worthy, and I think Taupe and Bunty will be very happy about that if there was no safety car, because their comfortable lead at the moment would have been completely wiped out by that safety car. But no safety car, like you say. Whitewire's got a time penalty into the pit lane. I've not seen that before, but clearly going a bit too deep into the pit lane entry, and Whitewire has picked up a 3-second time penalty, but he is the last of those that started on the hards to come in for a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So Bunty is now back into the lead of this race with Taupe right up behind the Alfa Romeo. Rex still sitting in a pretty comfortable third position at the moment, and there we go, Rekurik 34.7, easily the fastest lap of the race, that is, for the Haas driver. But in front, look at how quickly Brent has caught Dari and Mats. He was 2 seconds behind them coming out of the pit lane. He is all over the back of the Williams, and look at the traction he's got compared to Dari coming out of turn number 4. Is he going to switch to the inside at turn number 6? No, he's going to try and brake on the grass around the outside, and he hits his front wing. I wouldn't be surprised if that's damage for Brent. I would have probably switched to the inside if I was him, but he's now going to try and get a run around the outside. Can't get the move done. Has Brent damaged his front wing? It's hard to tell, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he has. That was pretty significant damage with the front wheel of Dari's car.
Yeah, I wonder if it was minor front wing damage, because sometimes the game doesn't tell you have front wing damage until you go into the pits. But if you do start to lose straight line speed, then it's obvious that you've got a little bit of damage at the moment. But Brent's going to try and do all he can then, because he's still in a points paying position, not in the points paying position that he was at the moment, because he wants to be up there near the top then. Taupe has got some brilliant traction heading towards the hairpin. Can he get past Bunty into turn number 14? He does not. Switch back, maybe go for the opportunity, I don't know. But Charlie is thinking about doing a similar thing into the hairpin. This time he gets away with good results, and he's up into 4th place. Like we said, he could be on for a podium here, and he's 3 seconds behind Rex. It's going to be hard because Rex is a faster driver on those hards too. We can see some fierce competition between these two, but with Taupe saving his tyres throughout the race, and ERS is on 89% compared to Bunty's 49%, I would say maybe advantage Taupe. Maybe he's just waiting until the final few laps to make the move, because you can tell he's not pushing that much, but he's pushing enough to make sure he stays in a similar pace of Bunty. So to be honest, I think Taupe is the favourite for now, but Bunty, he just got to prove the critics wrong to stay ahead of Taupe, his main rival.
Yeah, I think at the moment you've got to say Taupe is just kind of keeping his distance, isn't he? Making sure we're staying within range, and then he'll probably attack if there's a challenge from behind, or if we get to the end of the race and it's still the two of them comfortably leading, he'll then go for the move then. But right now, he doesn't need to push and burn out those hards, especially with people on fresh medium tyres coming at him. I think it's pretty obvious that Brent does have damage because he passed Darry and can't pull away from Darry and can't get within DRS range of his teammate. So I think Brent does have some slight damage on that front wing, which is a real shame because without that damage, Brent probably could have very easily driven up to maybe a 4th place finish in this race on these tyres, but with that damage, that's not going to happen anymore, and that is a real shame. Just again, another costly mistake racing wheel to wheel for Brent. He just kind of went for the outside when the gap wasn't there and crashed into the side of a Williams. So real shame for Brent, and now Darry's actually going to come back at Brent down in towards the hairpin. Down the inside goes the Williams. He's got the inside line, nothing really Brent can do, and he's forced off the track, and he forced off the track and then kind of floors it through the gravel, I think in frustration more than anything else. He just kind of floored it off the road. Won't be surprised if we see him in. We do see him into the pit lane. If he retires in the pit lane, I think it's fair to say that is probably championship over for Brent.
Yeah, I have to say, if it was, I'll be surprised if he's giving up now, but he's got to show that he can finish a race even in tough times. And I think he's still got to go and probably go on to a fresh set. Oh, he's going on softs. Softs don't make 11 laps around here, so best of luck to Brent, but he's made the same mistake I had in a China race a few years ago. I thought, oh, softs can make it to the end. After lap 23, my tyres were dead, so I think Brent is going to be in a similar position. We did see Marty spin earlier, that's why he's still into 14th position, and you can now see Bunty is on the push now. It was about 0.3 per second gap between himself and Tope. Now it's about 6-7 tenths. So I have to say Bunty is doing a much better job. But is he pushing too soon? Because I think Tope is doing another lap of saving his tyres to make sure he can stay clear. I think it's going to be a balancing act for Bunty right now, because otherwise he's going to lose so much grip on those hard tyres. It won't be that long before the hards just come less optimal.
Yeah, it's not going to be not long, like you say, and yeah, at the moment, it's just a case for Bunty, really is. I think he knows what Tope is trying to do. So he doesn't want to pull away and burn all of his burn all of his ERS and then become more of a sitting duck. But he, of course, wouldn't want to just sit there and wait for Tope to pass him, hoping that he can then possibly repass him if Tope goes for it too early. But knowing Tope this season, Tope is not the kind of driver to go for a move too early. Rekurik sets another fastest lap of the race, and he's up the inside of Mats. We said earlier on, Rekurik had no pace on the hard compound tyres, and to be fair, Rekurik was not the fastest driver on the hards. He was slower than both Wachawai and Brent. Somehow, Rekurik is in 6th place in this race, and on a set of medium tyres that are 9 laps younger than RJ in front. RJ's only 3 seconds up the road, so RJ outqualified Rekurik by, I think, 10 positions on the grid, and yet again Rekurik is doing great damage limitation in this championship. I think if the race were to finish how we maybe expect, if Tope were to win this race and Rekurik finishes this race in P5, Tope would take the championship lead, I think, by a singular point as it stands, but then actually it would be level, I think, because Rekurik has the fastest lap of the race. So it's really close at the moment, but yet again Rekurik is doing an amazing job at damage limitation.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like the Mercedes in real life. To finish first, you first have to finish, and if you get the poor results, qualify poorly, then you've got to have these races where you climb up through the field, and then the races you do win, these kind of races where it's tough, can help you. We got the battle for the lead then. Tope gets past Bunty quite comfortably into the hairpin, and he's now your race leader at the moment. So I wonder if Tope's tyre saving skills has helped him now, and I wonder if Bunty is going to be on the attack. He is going for the attack. He saved a bit more ERS as well, heading towards turn number 1 then. He got the DRS. Is he going to get past him? Nope, he stays behind then. So he wants a DRS later on in the lap, but we're going to see a ding-dong battle between these two. I'm looking forward to that as well, and it's starting to show that Bunty is replicating his qualifying pace to his race pace. These two on the hards have been unstoppable compared to the rest of the field as well. Rex and Chai doing good as well in 3rd and 4th place. We got Cam doing his 2nd stop. I assume he's going on to another set of memes. Yes, he does go on to another set of memes, so it can confirm that the 2 stops I thought he was going to do, he is going to do. And I wonder if RJ is going to do the same thing, because I can't imagine those medium tyres are favourable right now. 14 laps on them. They're going to run out in a few laps.
Yeah, as we've got Brent off the road. So, yet again, Brent's having a horror show of a race. He's in the gravel on the exit of turn number 1. So, Brent has gone very far off the road. I don't know if that is contact or whether he's just spun off the curb on the inside. But Brent had such a good run in the middle part of this championship. But as of late, it's just starting to fall away for Brent pace-wise and results-wise as well. Real shame for the AlphaTauri, but I think it's possibly final nail in the coffin. Championship-wise today for Brent, no points scored as it stands, and it's looking unlikely he's going to score points in this race. RJ is trying his hardest to cling on to DRS range to Charlie, but he is only probably a couple of laps away from losing it. And the second he loses DRS, Rickock is going to be right on him. The other Haas, down the inside, goes white to white on Darry, gets the move done, and is up into 8th position. So he continues his march forwards. He does have a 3-second time penalty, which at the moment would drop him down to 10th, but he has got fresh medium tyres, so you would imagine he could build the gap to Chill, possibly build the gap to Darry as well, who, as of late in this race, has had no pace at all in this race. So it's been an unorthodox league race so far, I think, to say the least. We're so used, I think, to seeing massive DRS trains and very similar strategies from every driver that we're very unused to seeing races where there are so many different strategies going on at the same time and the field is fairly spread out. But do you know what? I'm kind of enjoying it. I like seeing this strategy side of thing. It's a different kind of race. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's more about the strategy more than the pace right now as well. If you're on the right tyre, you're able to get within DRS and get the move. If you're on the wrong tyre or pit at the wrong time, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think it's about playing the smart game around here as well and being quick at the same time. If you don't have any of those, then you're going to probably have a poor race. As Bunty, I think, is off the ground to Tote right now, even though he's going to have the DRS to pull the car along. As Brent is out of the race, he's retired in the pit lane, so we're down to 14 runners. So a bit of a shame for him. Another race where he's scoring 0 points, and I'm almost certain that's put him out of championship contention, Brent.
Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it? Especially with Tope currently in the lead of this race and Rikurik possibly looking at a top 5 here. That would put Brent over 50 points behind with only 4 rounds to go. It's still mathematically possible, but it would have to take a lot of bad luck for the top 4 in this championship. I think if there was only one driver at the top of the championship, it would be more likely for Brent, because that's one driver having bad luck, but he needs 4 drivers to have bad luck at the same time, and at the moment that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Tope then still leads. We've got 6 laps to go, including this one. Tope leads. Brent's AI car's in between him and Bunty, but that's not going to cause a problem. Tope and Bunty so far have been the class of the field, but we've not mentioned him much though. Rex, unlike Rex really, he either has a terrible race and Easy has retired in the pit lane, so that's another retirement from this race, and that's a bit bizarre because he was in the points, so I'm surprised he's retired from that point in the race. But as I was saying, Rex either has an absolute horror show of a race, and we see him crash out fairly early, or he's the star of the show. Today, though, he has flown completely under the radar, but in a good way. Really, really strong third place result currently.
I think he started off quite weak. We thought he was quite slow in terms of pace, but I think it's the opposite for some people. They weren't good on the hards, but were good on the mediums. Well, he wasn't good on the mediums, but he's very good on the hards. So I think he's found his form on those the race tire on the hards, which can get to the end as well. And he's got a decent gap to Charlie too. I thought Charlie was going to close in as well, but he is not. Now, I completely forgot as well, as Rex is rebuilding his tyres. I don't know why. We do have, I think, some championship permutations already done nice and early. Rikurik is sitting in 6th at the moment. I don't think he's got fastest lap. There will be quite a few people eliminated for the championship. Maverick, Mats and J-Luke. We've got YYY must finish 2nd and Bunty must finish 5th. If neither of those do those, which is going to be very unlikely for YYY, they'll be out of the championship. So that is the situation then for some of these drivers. Everyone else that's not mentioned, well, they're still in the championship fight if Rikurik stays where he is in 6th position. So, yeah, I didn't think the 3 that I mentioned were going to be in the championship fight anyway. Miami must win, but he's not here tonight. So, no matter what, I think he's going to be out of this championship fight at the moment. It's gone dark, and I did see in the chat there was going to be a dry session. I don't know. Will we see spots of rain? It is set to approximate after all.
It's approximate. I wonder if we have just seen the approximate weather system come into play here, because it is all of a sudden starting to get very, very dark, like you say. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Just keeping an eye on everything else that's happening in this race. Those are on different strategies, and kind of very bizarrely, those on the alternate strategy on the fresher tyres have really stalled out in recent laps. Charlie, since passing RJ, has gone nowhere, really. He's stayed fourth and not closed in on Rex at all, despite Rex's tyres being 6 laps older. And RJ is just about sticking with Charlie as it stands. Recurrick can't really get any closer to RJ in front. The only one that's on a fresh set of tyres that is making moves is YHYY. He's onto the back of Timats now for a move down the back straight. He'll move down and past the AlphaTauri and up into 7th position. Of course, before the pit stops, YHY was the lead Haas, but of course he's picked up a 3-second time penalty on the way into the pit lane and pitted a lot later than Recurrick, so that's why he's ended up behind. But he has almost got that gap now to Dari, so a P9 is pretty much on the cards for YHY here. Can he now build the gap to Mats? Mats and RJ, to be fair to them, I would have expected Mats and RJ to fall off a lot further than they have so far, but in fact, they've done a fairly solid job. Mats is falling off a little bit more, I would say. But RJ on 18-lap-old medium tyres, clinging onto the back of Charlie on fresher hards, not doing too badly, is RJ.
Nope, he's not. RJ's doing absolutely fantastic right now to keep his championship hopes alive for just a little bit longer as well. And to be honest, he'll still be in the fight anyway, but this will help him close up the gap to his main rivals, and it would help him go into this. So I think RJ needs a race like this in order to do well. I know he's not fighting for the win, but like we were saying to Recurrick, sometimes races like this can pretty much decide your championship later on down the line, and maybe a top 5 finish. We'll be happy with that, but I'm sure he will work to get even more top 3 finishes, maybe even another win potential, because he looked very strong at the start of the season. And we're not seeing, I think, many more moves at the moment, so I wonder if they're going to settle for the positions they are in at the moment. Maybe RJ has the pace on Charlie, but he's dropping out of DRS range, which shows that the mediums he's on is definitely dying. And I have to say, I think he's been on those mediums for quite a bit. If he can make that soft to medium strategy work, then fair play to RJ, but you can start to see Recurrick catching up ever so slightly. I think he's going to lose quite a few positions at this rate, but if RJ could just hold on for a few more laps, he could be on for an absolute blinder and pull off a stellar job. But yeah, I wouldn't think anyone would do soft beans around China. I'm not planning to do that in my race, but RJ is being very, very brave here. I thought he was going to box just like the other 2 stoppers did, but no, he's been on the 1 stop for the whole race so far.
Yeah, been on it for the whole race, like you say, and he's done a pretty good job so far, but had a massive snap of oversteer coming out the final corner. So I think it's fair to say those mediums at the end of their life, he's just clinging on now. And of course, for RJ, he will be desperate to stay ahead of Recurrick. Of course, RJ and Recurrick, for the longest time, were the 2 leading front runners in this championship. They were the only 2 we were really talking about championship positions, especially in the midpoint of the season. RJ was winning left, right and centre, and Recurrick was winning whenever RJ wasn't winning. These 2 were the front runners, but as of recent rounds, Luke and Taupe have been the stars of the show in recent races, and they've closed right back in. And RJ and Recurrick have somewhat faded a little bit championship-wise in terms of pace in recent rounds. Of course, Recurrick picked up a podium last time out, but of course didn't have a good quali. He's had a couple of DNSs in a few rounds as well. So Recurrick is starting to fade a little bit in this championship. RJ has definitely faded in this championship, and he is starting to fade a bit in this race now. He's now dropped out of DRS range to Charlie. Recurrick is within range, and with the straight line speed of that house, I don't imagine RJ is going to be able to put up a fight. Down the inside goes Recurrick. Yep, nothing RJ can do. Recurrick down the inside, and 5th is on the cards now for Recurrick. Can he get within range of Charlie? I think the fact that he's just kind of been stuck kind of just outside of DRS range for the past 10 laps suggests to me, I think 5th is probably the best we're going to see from Recurrick today.
Yeah, it is, which I think puts more people out of championship contention, and this is crucial for Recurrick. And the more positions he gains, the more contenders will be eliminated from the championship fight. So I think the people lower down in the championship, I've got to hope Recurrick drops more positions, but I don't think he's going to right now. But I think the battle we're going to see more is Bunty and Taupe. Bunty, I wonder if Bunty's been saving his tyres now, because he's now all of a sudden catching up So maybe he's learned his lesson from earlier on. Maybe earlier on he was pushing too much, and now we saw Toad pushing quite a lot, and now it's coming in to Bunty's favour. Or maybe Bunty just wants the toe on the final lap. This is going to be absolutely huge. We saw the likes of Verstappen and Leclerc fight for the win in the sprint race. Spoiler alert, earlier on today we'll see exactly the same, but this time in a Williams versus an Alfa Romeo. Two drivers that have been unstoppable this entire race then. So I wonder if Bunty's going to back off this time around. He is. He's not even using his overtake right now. Is he going to use his DRS? He's still going to use his DRS to try and get close enough to him so he could get the run maybe into turn 1. But if I were him, I wouldn't want to get the move done into turn 1. I would rather get the move done here because that is where the most powerful DRS zone around the track is through towards the hairpin. So I think just stay behind Tope for the first 2 sectors, and then as Tope runs a bit wide, but as Bunty does the opposite of what I thought he was going to do, he gets the lead into the final lap then of China. But is he going to hold on to it there? We got Tope trying to go on the left-hand side into turn 3. They almost made contact, but Tope just about has the edge there on his rival up into the lead then. So, oh my God. Sit back and relax, people. We're going to be in for an epic finish.
Yeah, got a lovely final lap battle here between Tope and Bunty. Like you say, these two have been the standout class of the field this evening. No one has been close. These are the only two in the 1-minute 30s in quali, and they are miles ahead in pace. In race pace, at least, towards everybody else. By the way, a bit further down, Rekurik is within DRS range of Charlie, so could be on for a 4th place finish here, but we'll keep an eye on this lead battle as they come down the back straight. Tope has won, of course, already this season. He is 3rd in the championship. This win could put him into the lead of the championship. In fact, my mistake, Tope has not won this season. I completely lied. Tope is the only championship contender who's not won a race this season, and his first race win of the season could put him into the lead of the championship. But Bunty's looking for his 2nd win of the season. He won, of course, earlier in the season back in Belgium. Can he pick it up? He's too far back down the straight. He's not had the ERS. I think wasting the ERS on the pit straight has not helped him, and he's not been able to get the run down the back straight, which means with only 1 corner to go, unless he completely messes up the final corner, Tope should round the final corner of the final lap. And finally, 13 rounds in, Tope takes the victory from Bunty. These two were miles ahead of the rest of the field. We got a yellow flag at the very end. That's because Rex ran out of fuel, but just gets to the line ahead of Charlie to hold on for a podium finish. Rex in 3rd ahead of Charlie, and 4th. Rekurik couldn't get past Charlie on the back straight, so stays in 5th. RJ will pick up a 6th place finish, but he'll be gutted to finish behind Rekurik again in this race. Wide then did get the gap back to a lot of drivers and ends up staying in 7th position, so one of his better results of the season so far in that Haas. Dari, Mats, Chill, J-Luke and Camke will round off the points finishers in this race. Marty, the only driver still going that will not finish in the points tonight. He's had a horror show of a race, but good on him for finishing off, and I would not be surprised if we see Marty steal the fastest lap of the race on this lap here as he comes through the final corner and up towards the line. Is it a fastest lap of the race for Marty? I don't know. I didn't actually see it pop up, so maybe it wasn't the fastest lap of the race, but we'll wait and see at the final finishing. But we said it a couple of times towards the end, Bunty and Tope in a class of their own in that race, and finally Tope has got his first win of the season.
I did say, I think, was it a few weeks ago before the break week, that Tope needs to get a win in order to make sure that he closed in on Rekurik. Well, he has done that tonight. The fastest lap does belong to Marty, actually, 1:32.5, so well done to him as well. So, thanks to the permutations that Cam very kindly put together, thank you to Cam, since Rekurik finished 5th, it does now confirm that Tope is now leading the championship, because it says Luke and Tope must win to take the lead of the championship, and Tope has done that. So, I don't know how many points he's leading from, but, you know, Tope has done all he can to lead the championship anyway. YHYY is eliminated from championship contention. So is Miami, so is J-Luke, so is Tim, so is Matt, and so is Maverick. Everyone else is still in that fight. But, yeah, this confirms it then. Tope is now your new championship leader.
Yeah, Tope the championship leader then, but only by a single point.
Ooh.
That is how close it is. That is incredibly close. And this is the first time Tope leads the championship since round 3 of the season. And that is his 4th podium in a row. He had a 3rd place at Belgium. He had 2 second places in Zandvoort and Russia. And now he's got the win here at China. Tope is the man on form at the moment. What a brilliant result for him. He wins the race ahead of Bunty and Rex, your podium finishers. Then it's Charlie, Rekurik, RJ, Whitechawai, Dari, Mats, Chill, J-Luke, Camke and Marty, your finishers. Easy, Brent, Rom, Maverick and Parrot are the retirements from that race. 5 retirements in the end. And yeah, as if this championship couldn't get any closer, it's just gotten even closer. Only 1 point separating Rekurik and Tope. Luke is still not too far behind, and RJ, of course, will pick up for a few points and move a bit closer and back up into 3rd. RJ will move back ahead of Luke in the championship and up into 3rd. So it is all swings and roundabouts in the championship. It's still very close between the top 4, but now you've got to say The momentum is swinging in favour of Taupe at the moment.
Bring it on with how close his championship is. I'm very excited for the final few rounds. I can't remember where we are next week. Let me just check. Hungary, so we got 4 more rounds to go. This is getting even more crucial now for these top 5 to perform well. If they have a bad result next week, then they're out of it. Then we got Canada, then we got Brazil, and then we got Abu Dhabi bringing up the rear. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm glad Taupe finally got the win on the board. It will be good to speak to him. I'm in the process of inviting people to the party, but I have to say, Rex, I think, being the other standout as well, best of the rest, even though he was under the radar, we didn't talk about him, and he scored quite well. This should jump him to near the best of the rest battle in terms of the championship fight. So, good job on him as well, and maybe, hopefully, Hungary is a similar track, in a sense, where Tydeg is not ideal, so maybe he could do well in Hungary too.
Yeah, definitely, it could be a possibility. Like you say, it's been a good few rounds recently. It has been for Rex in the Alpine. 2 5th-place finishes in Belgium and Zandvoort. Of course, picked up the win earlier on in the season as well in Silverstone. So now another podium finish. He has added 15 points to his tally. He will jump ahead of Old School and Cam K and up into 7th position in the championship, and will close right in on Dowie as well. So yeah, Rex starting to come on song a little bit towards the latter stages of this season as well. So yeah, I think a lot of happy drivers after that race, and I think as another one as well for Bunty. Of course, a 2nd place finish for him. He picked up his first win only 3 rounds ago. Bunty coming on song a little bit towards the end of the season as well. He'll move further up in the championship, of course, with that 2nd place finish, and I think a bit of a confidence boost now for Bunty. He had such an up and down start to the season. Of course, he had 4 rounds where he didn't score at all in the midpoint of the season, but at least going into the next season, he's building himself some nice bit of momentum.
Yeah, you never know. There could be some points where a game is going to be different, and I think it's certainly going to be different because obviously it will be a new era, completely new cars, where cars can follow each other. So you may be good on this game, but you may not be good on another game as well. So having good results like that late into the game cycle is huge. So very, very good. As I invite all the top 3 into the party, hopefully they should join us very, very soon. And speaking of that, we got the person who finished in 3rd place in the party.
Brilliant stuff. So yeah, let's get underway. Let's have a chat with our 3rd place finisher. It is IRT Rex, who picks up only his 2nd podium of the season. But Rex, I mean, not really much to say. It was kind of a bit of a lonely race for yourself.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. I had the stream on in the background, and then had music going, and I was just kind of bored. I would catch up in the 1st and 2nd sector, and then they would pull away Taupe and Bunty in the 3rd because of the DRS, so couldn't really catch back up. But got a little nerve-wracking on that last lap. I had a lap and a half over field at the beginning of the race, but I guess that wasn't enough. But last lap I was fuel saving, and I didn't get to fuel save enough.
Yeah, not quite enough in the end, but luckily for you, like you say, only 2 tenths away from losing the podium, but you just managed to cling on to it. Of course, you've picked up a win already this season. Of course, a bit further back, you've had 2 5th place finishes in recent rounds. You're sort of kind of picking up a lot of momentum in the latter stages of the season. Where do you think you can kind of end up championship wise now? What's your target for the final 4 races of the season?
I don't know, just finish races, I guess. That's I don't know where. Just my goal is to finish races. I just been having a couple of races where just bad luck. Either get involved with the incident, or I spin out on my own. But not too bad. I'm starting to transition over to wheels, so
yeah,
not too bad.
lovely.
I'm surprised with my pace.
Well, it's going well so far. It's a bright future ahead then for you, Rex. Jess, anything you'd like to ask?
Right, next week we do go to Hungary, kind of a similar track characteristic race to China in terms of tire deck and the corners as well, and it's hard to overtake as well. How do you feel going into that? Are you going with the same attitude this week for next week?
I think next week I'm kind of just finished the race. I feel like I have a decent amount of pace there. Not amazing. Just gotta not make mistakes and just keep scoring points. Just on. Me and my teammates have just been unlucky lately, and we just can't get anything going. But hopefully in these last couple of races we can get something going.
Good answer there. Thank you very much, and well done on P3 there.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, Rex. We'll move over to our second place finisher. Bunty has joined the party, which is great to see. Congratulations, Bunty. Another podium to add to your tally this season, but so close to that second win of the season, just not quite able to get there. How was that race from your side of things?
It was very good. I think China's one of my strongest tracks, so I kind of knew after doing that first qualifying lap, which I hooked up quite nicely, kind of took the pressure off for the whole thing, because I knew I had it in there once I did that first quali lap. And then obviously Tope and me, I think, were on the timesheets from when we both did our first soft lap, didn't move away from each other at all, even during a pit stop. So yeah, I mean, I felt comfortable out there leading. Obviously, once Tope, I think, got into the lead around like lap 20, it was I realised it was actually quite tough to keep up, because I've been I didn't realise how kind of bad the dirty air was in sector 2, because I was leading originally, but yeah, managed to keep with him after losing DRS actually once on the main straight. So just to be there on a like second to last lap and last lap to be in his DRS and have a chance was great. Yeah, it was a good battle, really good battle.
Yeah, it was a really good battle. Great fun to watch that final lap as well. But like I said, really unfortunately couldn't quite get to the end of it in that sense. I think I'll ask the same question as I asked to Rex. Moving forward in this championship, you've kind of picked up a lot of momentum recently as well. What's the target going forwards? Is it another race victory, or is it just to get to a specific spot in the championship?
I'm not really sure. I usually like to overthink things and say, or I'd like to still, for as long as possible, be in with a championship a chance, which I think I've just about done. But I like to overthink things, but I think putting it quite basically, I think would just be to, I guess, get solid results, feel like I'm maximising races, because I think apart from Belgium and obviously tonight, most of the races throughout my the season league career have been just one or two mistakes, like Netherlands going for moves which weren't really there, or just other tracks where getting penalties. I think I just need to find that consistency. Although I have improved from the start of the season, where I wasn't even picking up a point, just trying to, I guess, find a bit of consistency, which my race engineer who's joined the party helped me do today for this race.
Definitely did, yeah, and in the end, yeah, brilliant result from you. Jess, anything you'd like to add before we round off today?
Yeah, not a problem. I will say the same question as I asked Rex earlier. Hungary is the next track around it, LOE. We raced there last season as well. How are you feeling about that?
Hungary, I think I got my first pole in league racing there. Ooh. And I think we did the race earlier in FRL where there was like Sir Jensen, and I managed to actually get ahead of him for a few laps before getting a penalty. So I think it's once again a case of trying to keep it consistent. I know I have got the potential to be, once again, do one of these podium battles for the whole race. It's just about lap in, lap out, trying to keep putting in the lap times. So I'd like to think I can get another podium, but I'm probably jinxed it now.
Don't jinx yourself now, but yeah, congratulations on another good result for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Thank you for joining the party as well, Bunty. Unfortunately, we won't be able to speak to our race winner tonight, Tope. He has got to head off, but congratulations to him on his first win of the season. And that is where we're going to round off tonight. Jess, anything you'd like to add before we finish off?
A good race in terms of strategy, and it turns out that whenever you pit, it definitely helps some of the drivers tonight, and bring it on next week.
Yeah, bring it on next week. Looking forward to the championship. Of course, only 1 point separating the top two in the championship now, moving forward into the next round, which of course is Hungary, like we have said, at the Budapest circuit. Of course, tune in to Divisions 2 and 5 in about 10 minutes time. You can cheer on myself and Jess in our respective divisions, and you can go back and watch Divisions 1 and 4 as well. They took place at the same time as us. We'll be back this time next week for round number 14 at 6:30 UK time. But for myself and Jess, it is thank you very much for joining us once again, and we'll see you next week. Take care and good night.